Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about COVID-19 and coding alone. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I've heard you say many times before that working alone is really, really bad. But since the pandemic hit the US, at least here, it's very hard to get an on-prem position at this point. And what if this becomes the norm to do remote work? How do you think about that? And the short answer is that I think we need to make a difference now between working alone or coding alone and being remote. So let me explain that a little bit. This idea, guys, that being remote is always a bad thing. It's not. Like, I'm not saying that, and I have said before that remote work is usually something that is detrimental to your career. And the reason is very simple. If the remote work leads to you interacting less with your coworkers or having less access to coworkers, that is a problem. Because especially when you're in the early stages of your career, you will depend, like your personal development will depend a lot on how easy access you have to senior experiences, to people who know more about the system than you do. If you can't get answers to your questions, you're going to struggle. And if you can't build up meaningful connections with your coworkers that make it feel like a kind of, if you can't get a friendly, good vibe going with these people, it becomes even harder for you to adopt a good communication channel, and that ultimately leads to that you're going to have to do things on your own. I promise you, you're going to make more mistakes. You're not going to ask for help and introductions to the code. You're not going to learn and not be able to share in the experiences that these people have, which is so important when you don't have anything else, because you don't have your own experiences. Hopefully you will get them and you will start doing the same. You will give that back to the community, and remember that, because I promise you, you're going to get to that point. You're going to get to that point where you look at some junior developer a few years in your career and you could get either annoyed or tired or something like that. Try then to remember how it was for you, how it was to be scared shitless, have no one to talk to, and nobody cares about you. That's that moment when you have when you get there. Just please step in and help this person. So that's what you're going for. That's the important part. Nobody is saying that remote work can't work like that, because coding alone and remote, to make that clear, is not the same thing. Being alone means that you have no coworkers. And if you are in a remote workstation, even if you have a team and you work remotely and you never talk to your coworkers due to the fact that you are remote, that is the problem. But on the other hand, if you are in a team of developers who have a good culture around like video conferences and code reviews and camaraderies and like a happy, healthy chat or instant messaging system or something like that, if that is your work situation, then there's not much of an impact to your personal development, because you're getting the communication. It's happening even though you're not in the room. A lot of people believe that the best communication between two humans is if they can actually see each other, and I absolutely believe that is true. Like, we communicate much better when we can see people and we're like next to each other. Proximity, body language, and all this good stuff does factor in, but it's not like a deal breaker if you can't make that happen. So what I want you to take away from this is that although there's a pandemic, and sure, like there might be a situation now where you can't work in an office or something like that, and maybe that's not going to change for quite some time. Don't look at that as the same thing as working alone. Working alone means that you don't communicate with any peers. It means that you don't have anybody to turn to. You don't have anybody to share ideas with. You don't have anybody to lean on or help, and vice versa, and no one to like ventilate frustration. You don't have coworkers. That's working alone. Working remote can create such a situation for you. I've seen it happen before, where you might have one remote consultant at a company, which in my case it was three. that they basically were pointless. Like we like people forgot to invite them to meetings that they needed to be in because we never talked, because there was no social interaction. Everybody in the office had a very good social interaction with each other, but they didn't have it with the rest of the company, and that created a problem. It didn't have to be that way. Today I work with my coworkers. We are all remote now until the pandemic and all this stuff is over. So, and we talk all the time. We go into video conferences as a rule. If anything takes more than a sentence to express, we're in a video conference immediately and we talk. And we share ideas. We screen share and show, like, do pair programming. We do all of these things, and it's all possible even if you're working remote. That's the key difference. Remote can lead to isolation, and that's the killer, not the fact that you're remote. Have a great day.